Before sleep finds you tonight, imagine a world untouched by cities or steel, a world of icy winds, ancient forests, and quiet survival. This is the world of the Neanderthals. No books, no clocks, just fire, bone tools, and the sound of wolves in the distance. They hunted with spears. They buried their dead. They suffered. But they also dreamed. Close your eyes now. We are going to walk through that world, gently, quietly, where every step in the snow was survival, and every firelight was a whisper of hope. Now, breathe and let the past carry you to sleep. Breathe deeply. Feel the quiet around you, the weight of the blanket, the rhythm of your breath, the silence of the night pressing softly at your window. Now, imagine that silence stretched back 40,000 years. There are no cities, no steel, no lights, only the moon, cold and full, above a world that is mostly wind and snow. We begin in a valley far from the warmth of history, a place without names. Because language, as you know it, does not yet exist. The earth is quiet here, thick with ancient trees, their trunks dark and grooved, and moss growing in the shapes of sleeping things. Somewhere in the distance, a mammoth bellows. Its call rolls over the hills like thunder from another world. But our story is not about mammoths. It is about the ones who tried to hunt them. In a shallow cave carved by time and ice, a small group huddles near a fire. Orange sparks drift upward and vanish into the stone ceiling like fireflies returning to the stars. They are Neanderthals, shorter than you, stockier, their arms thick with muscle, their brows heavy with bone. They do not speak in full sentences. Not yet, but they gesture, grunt, hum softly to one another. The fire is their center, for warmth, for light, for cooking the last scraps of meat from a hunted reindeer. Its scent still clings to the air, greasy and rich, making the mouth water even as the stomach grows. One of the men elders sits slightly apart. His eyes are pale, his hair matted with smoke and age. He chews slowly on a route, watching the fire with a look that is almost thought. And maybe it is thought. Neanderthals had larger brains than modern humans. They may have dreamed, may have wondered, may have asked questions with no words to shape them. They lived brutally, but not without depth. Outside the cave, the wind begins to rise. It snakes between trees, carrying with it the scent of predators. A cave lion, maybe two. They are close, hungry. One of the younger Neanderthals, a female with dark eyes and a scar across her shoulder, grabs a sharpened stick. Not a spear. Not quite, but close. The group becomes quiet, very quiet. You can feel the cold in their breath. See it rise in faint white clouds as they press their backs to the wall. The fire dims slightly, its glow flickering against stone and fur and fear. But the lions pass. Tonight, they hunt elsewhere. The group exhales, not in relief, but in something like it, and the fire crackles back to life. Let us stay in this cave a while longer. Let us explore the world of those who came long before memory. The Neanderthals hunted with spears, made of fire-hardened wood and stone tips carefully chipped with deliberate strikes. They lived in small, group, 10, sometimes 20, not tribes, families. They followed herds across frozen plains. They built temporary shelters from bones and hides. They dug pits to trap prey. And they survived. Not for years, but for tens of thousands of years, longer than all of recorded human history. Imagine that, a people who lived, struggled, ate, loved, mourned, and dreamed, yet left behind no books, no kings, no names. Only bones, and tools, and the deep, enduring silence of time. Back in the cave, the fire dies down, one by one. The group curls up beneath furs, some alone, some touching shoulders. The night is cold, their bodies pressed together, not for affection, but for survival. Above them, the stars burn brightly through a gap in the stone. No cities hide them here. No light but fire. Somewhere far off, an owl calls, and the Neanderthals sleep, their breaths rise and fall, the same rhythm as yours now, steady, safe, calm, as you rest here in the warmth of your blanket. Imagine the scent of wood smoke in your nose, the hiss of wind beyond the cave mouth, the crackle of coals beside your feet. You are wrapped in fur, stone beneath your back, sky above your head, and nothing to do but breathe and survive. No clocks, no questions, just now, just this moment, and this sleep, asterisk. The morning comes slowly, not with light, but with the easing of dark. You open your eyes to a sky the color of old ash, the kind of gray that never becomes blue. Not this time of year, not in this ancient winter. Snow has dusted the ground outside the cave, fine, dry crystals that whisper underfoot. And it is cold, not just the kind of cold that bites the skin, but the kind that finds your bones and settles in. But hunger, as always, does not care for weather. 3 Neanderthals rise first. The elder, a broad-shouldered male with thick arms and a crooked nose. The female with a scar, her dark hair tied back with sinew, and a younger one, barely grown, still unsure of where his courage begins and ends. They do not speak, not with words, but their bodies move in practiced rhythm, packing stones, testing spears, tightening wraps around their feet. Their tools are simple, a sharpened flake of flint, bound to a wooden shaft with dried sinew and resin. But they are not crude, they are made with care. Neanderthals were master toolmakers. They knew which stones to break, which woods to bend, how fire could harden the point just enough to hold through fur, through muscle, through bone. The 3 step out into the white. Wind cuts sideways across the valley, pulling at their cloaks of stitched reindeer hide. They do not flinch. They know this wind. It is a companion, a warning, a test. They move in single file, feet finding the firmest places in the snow. Every step is deliberate. Each glance around them, sharp as obsidian. They are not alone here. Wolves travel in packs. Bears do not all sleep through winter. And men, even men, are sometimes the greatest threat. The tracks appear by midday. Fresh, a herd of ibex, moving east toward the cliffs. Their prints are delicate but purposeful. A trail that snakes along a ridgeline, where the wind has blown the snow thin. The elder kneels beside them, presses his hand into the mark. He grunts. The others nod. It is agreed. The hunt begins. They follow the herd for hours, across open valleys, through forests of black pines, up winding hills that groan beneath the weight of ancient snow. Time does not matter here. There are no clocks, no schedules, only breath, footsteps, and the hunger that waits with a quiet growl beneath every rib. Neanderthals were ambush hunters. They lacked the long-distance stamina of their Homo sapiens cousins, but they were strong, immensely strong, built to burst forward, to strike with precision, to bring down prey in tight, brutal moments of contact. They chose cliffs, choke points, places where panic could become advantage, and they are choosing one now. The ibex have paused near the edge of a slope, one that ends in jagged stone, partially hidden beneath snowdrift. The younger hunter begins to circle wide. He crouches low, moving slowly, barely disturbing the frost beneath his feet. The scarred woman follows the opposite side. Her breath comes in slow plumes. Only the elder remains uphill, waiting. He will be the rock, the last push, when the trap is sprung. Then it happens. A whistle, not from lips, but from wind across the cliff. The herd spooks. They move fast, but not fast enough. The young male rises from his crouch, flings a spear. It whistles through the cold, and strikes not a kill, but a wound. The animal limps, stumbles, and as it does, the scarred woman steps into its path. Her own spear lowers, thrusts upward, a sharp cry, then silence. It is over in seconds. They move quickly. Blood steams in the cold. Tools come out again, scrapers, blades, flakes of stone. Neanderthals used every part of a kill. Meat for eating, bones for tools, sinew for thread, hide for warmth, fat for fire. Nothing wasted, not in this world. The elder begins to work with steady hands. The younger watches, learns. And the woman, she lifts her hand, touches the animal's brow. Just once, a gesture, not out of pity, but maybe respect. The snow begins again as they pack the meat. Long flakes this time, slow and gentle. They walk back heavier now, but not burdened. The kill means another day of life, another night with full stomachs, another chance to survive in a world that never promised it. And they do not speak. They never need to. The story is written in steps, in scars, in breaths. And now, in sleep. As you lie in your bed tonight, feel the snow in your imagination, the quiet, the hush, the rhythm of ancient feet through an endless white, and know beneath it all, there is still warmth, still fire, still the will to live, even in the most brutal of places. And tonight, you rest. The snow is falling heavier now. Soft flakes drift across the mouth of the cave, like tiny pieces of the sky settling in for the night. Inside, the group has returned, tired, silent, satisfied. They move without words. The rhythm of survival does not require language. Their hands, coarse with frostbite and calluses, begin preparing the fire. The fire is more than warmth. It is memory. It is life. It is the heart of their world. A small pile of dry twigs is placed in the center of smooth stones. A larger piece of flint is taken from a carved pocket in the cave wall. Next comes the pyrite, fool's gold, but precious, in ways gold never was. They strike stone against stone, hard, again and again. Sparks leap like insects in the dark. Most die before they land, but just one, falls into the bundle of dry grass and holds. Smoke rises, then a flicker, then light. You watch as it grows, from a spark, to a flame, to a glow that dances across stone and skin and memory. Neanderthals did not invent fire, but they learned to carry it, to protect it, to feed it as if it were something alive. Because in a way, it was. Fire kept predators at bay, cooked food, dried furs, lit the darkness when the stars were not enough. Around the fire now, they gather. The young watch the flame, the elders watch the young. There is a quiet understanding that this fire has burned before, in other caves, with other hands, and it will burn again. For now, it burns here. The scarred woman begins humming, a low, slow sound. Not quite music, not a melody, but steady, repetitive. The child beside her closes his eyes, and you wonder, was this the beginning of song? A lullaby for survival, a hum to keep the wolves away, or just a sound to fill the space between sleep and silence. Shadows stretch and shrink along the walls. The flickering shapes resemble animals, and then faces, and then dreams. Some believe Neanderthals may have understood art. They painted. Not often, not much, but they left behind handprints on cave walls. Red, ochre, black, one hand pressed against stone. Then outlined with pigment blown from the mouth, it says, "I was here, I lived, I mattered, and that is enough." In this cave, one child lifts a lump of charred wood, begins dragging it across a stone wall. Slow, unsure lines, a curve, a figure. It might become a bison, it might become nothing, but the attempt is everything. Because Neanderthals, despite the hardship, despite the cold, despite the endless struggle, still made time to mark the walls, to leave behind something that was not meat or bone or fire, but meaning. Back at the fire, the meat from the hunt is roasting. The scent is rich and sweet and deep. Fat sizzles, wood pops, but they eat in small bites. They chew slowly. They share. Neanderthals likely had empathy. They cared for their sick, buried, their dead, nursed the wounded. In this brutal world, they found moments to be kind, now full. The youngest among them curls beside the older woman. She wraps her fur around him, taps her fingers lightly along the rhythm of the wind. Outside. Another hum, another flicker of firelight, another shadow climbing the stone like smoke. Sleep begins to settle across the cave like a second skin. The fire lowers, still strong, but quiet now, like a heartbeat in the dark. And you are there too. lying beside them, wrapped in hide, listening to the breath of a world older than memory. No clocks, no lights, no walls, just sky, stone, and sleep. You feel the glow of the fire on your face. You hear the soft crack of wood, the rise and fall of ancient breath. And somewhere, the first thread of a dream spins quietly in the dark. Tonight, you are safe. Not in a home, not in a bed, but in a cave, lit by a fire that has burned for tens of thousands of years. You are warm. You are here. You are still. And now, you rest. The fire is nearly out. Ash glows in little veins, orange threads pulsing gently in the dark. Like the last heartbeat of a day now past. Outside the cave, the wind has changed. It carries something different. Still cold, but softer. Still ancient, but with weight. There is a stillness in the air tonight. Not just from sleep, but from memory. They gather before dawn. Quiet, hands folded, eyes heavy. Not with tiredness, but with something else. Something older. Something deeper. Today, they will bury one of their own. A small figure wrapped in fur. Wrapped in silence. Wrapped in the breaths of those who remain. Neanderthals did not leave behind written words, but they left behind graves. Simple, tender, some with flowers, some with red ochre dust, some with red ochre dust, some with nothing but the position of a body curled gently, as if still dreaming. The earth is frozen. Digging is slow. They use tools of stone, bone, and wood. Their hands are steady, their movements rhythmic, not rushed. Not panicked. They take their time because even without language, without scriptures, without ceremony, they knew. They knew that death deserved dignity. Archaeologists have found Neanderthal burial sites as old as 60,000 years. Carefully placed, bones, bodies, turned toward the cave wall, or curled in a fetal pose, some with antlers placed nearby, some with food left beside them, as if for a journey. These were not the actions of beasts. These were the rituals of beings who felt loss, who remembered, who mourned back in the cave. The others wait. They do not speak, but their stillness is a kind of reverence. The scarred woman holds a carved object, a piece of smooth bone, polished by years of handling, a token, a keepsake, maybe just a toy, maybe much more. She places it beside the bundle of fur, before the final wrap. And in that moment, you realize, these were people with hearts, with grief, with love. The body is lowered, the snow brushed away, the dirt packed gently above, no cross, no stone, no name, but meaning, nonetheless. A silence follows, not just of mouths, but of breath, as if the world itself has paused, and then the first bird cries, not in sorrow, not in joy, just life, carrying on. That night, the fire is relit, brighter than usual. More furs are laid down, more warmth shared, and one of the older males begins tapping softly on a hollow log. A beat, a rhythm, steady as a heart. Maybe it is music, maybe it is memory, maybe it is both. The young listen, their eyes wide, not frightened, just quiet, as if they know that remembering matters. Even when the words do not yet exist, you lie among them now. Blanket snug, air cool, fire humming, and you feel something ancient and soft beneath your ribs. A kind of mourning that is not sadness, but understanding. You see their eyes, their hands, their fire, and you know they were not just bones. They were us, long before we were ready to know it. So tonight, as the cave settles and the cold softens, you drift through time, through memory, through the breaths of a people who once stood where you now sleep. You are safe, you are held, you are remembered, and now, you rest. Asterisk, the world is vast and cold. Endless plains stretch beneath skies, heavy with gray. The ice has not yet claimed the land fully, but its whispers are growing louder. Neanderthals have called this place home for tens of thousands of years. Their fires, their hunts, their footsteps etched into the frost and stone. But tonight, the air carries something new. A scent, a sound, a presence. From the south, they have come. The fire flickers in the cave. Its glow is steady, but the shadows it casts are restless. One of the younger Neanderthals, the scarred woman, moves toward the cave entrance. Her steps are quiet, her breath low, her eyes searching the horizon. And there, against the pale line of snow and sky, she sees them, figures walking upright, carrying spears, wrapped in furs, but not like hers. They are different, taller, slimmer, their tools sharper, their movements deliberate. Homo sapiens, the visitors. For years, scientists wondered what happened when these two human worlds met. Was it violent? Was it peaceful? Was it anything at all? Archaeological evidence suggests there was contact, a sharing of tools, a blending of genes, perhaps even a merging of lives. In this moment, we do not see war. We see curiosity, caution, two paths crossing on an ancient stage. The Neanderthals gather near the fire, their bodies tense, their hands clutching spears. The visitors approach slowly, not running, not shouting, just walking. One of them raises a hand, a gesture, not of threat, but of greeting, of possibility. The elder Neanderthal watches carefully. His eyes narrow, his grip does not loosen, but he nods, just once. They do not share a language, they do not share a history, but in the glow of the firelight, they share the same cold, the same hunger, the same breath. One of the visitors kneels, produces something from a pouch at their side, a flint blade, thin and sharp, far finer than anything the Neanderthals have seen. The scarred woman leans closer, her brow furrows, her fingers reach out, tentative, curious. The blade is offered, not taken, but exchanged. For a piece of worked antler, polished smooth, its edges carved into jagged teeth. A trade, a moment, a bridge. In the following days, the visitors stay nearby. Their camp is small, a ring of firs and ash. The Neanderthals watch them from the ridges, study their movements, learn their patterns. They see fire made differently. They see tools shaped more precisely. They see a kind of weaving, fibers twisted into strands that can bind, can carry, can endure. And the visitors, in turn, see something else. Strength, endurance, the quiet, ancient rhythm of a people shaped by the ice. The nights are long, but the fires are shared. Stories may not have words, but they have shapes, gestures, sounds. A hand draws an animal in the dirt. Another hand traces its hunt. A third presses a circle above it all, the sun. And for the first time, you realize, these two groups, though divided by time and form, are bound by the same longing to leave their mark. The snow continues to fall. The visitors prepare to leave, their packs heavier than when they arrived, but not with goods, with knowledge. The scarred woman stands at the edge of the ridge, watching their figures disappear into the white. Her hand touches the flint blade, now tied to her waist. Her grip is firm, her gaze steady. Something has changed, not just in her tools, not just in her fire, but in the world itself. For tens of thousands of years, Neanderthals and Homo sapiens coexisted, sometimes near, sometimes far. But the ice did not care for cooperation. The world was changing, and not all could survive it. Still, in this moment, beneath the stars, beside the fire, there is a fragile, fleeting harmony, a recognition, a quiet, shared survival. And it is enough. You lie in your own place of warmth, now, wrapped in blankets, listening to the echoes of a time long past. Feel the shared fire, the exchanged tools, the unspoken trust that bridged the cold and the distance. And tonight, let it carry you into soft, steady dreams. ChatGPT said, "We have just completed part 5. Let us move into the poignant chapter of this story with The Brutal Life of Neanderthals. Boring History for Sleep, Part 6. A dimming flame, approximately 1,000 words. The fire burns low in the cave tonight. Its light barely touches the walls. Its warmth struggles to hold back the creeping chill of the wind outside. The elder sits closest to the embers. His hands, thick with age and use, turn a stone blade slowly in the light, not sharpening, not using, just holding. The scarred woman is quieter now. She has become a leader, but one who speaks with her steps, her actions. Her voice remains soft, measured, only rising when the wind grows too fierce. Around her, the younger ones watch, imitate, learn, and you wonder, how many generations have passed since the first fire lit this cave? How many feet have walked these paths? How many breaths? How many hands? How many lives? Neanderthals were survivors, but survival is not always enough. The ice was coming closer. The forests were thinning. The herds were moving farther, harder to follow. And then there were the others, Homo sapiens. Not enemies, not always, but a presence that could not be ignored. Their tools were better, their groups larger, their ability to adapt, different, faster. The world was changing, and Neanderthals, for all their strengths, for all their endurance, were fading. One by one, their caves emptied, not in a rush, not in a single, sudden moment, but slowly, like the melting of snow, like the dimming of a flame. The scarred woman does not think of this. She thinks only of the hunt, the fire, the survival of those around her. But she feels it, a heaviness in the air, a quietness in the nights that was not there before. By this time, the Neanderthal population was scattered and small. They lived in isolated groups, each separated by miles of wilderness. Communication was rare, connection even rarer. But they still tried. They still hoped. They still breathed. On one cold morning, the scarred woman sets out alone. Her spear slung over her back, a pouch of dried meat at her side, and the blade, the one given to her by the visitors, tied firmly at her waist. She moves with purpose. Her steps leave faint tracks in the snow, and her eyes scan the horizon for something more than prey. What she finds is not what she expected. A fire, not hers, not her group's. The smoke is thin and gray, rising like a whisper from the edge of a distant ridge. She hesitates. Her fingers tighten around her spear, and then she moves forward. The fire belongs to another group of Neanderthals. 3 of them, thin, tired, worn, but alive. They look up as she approaches, their eyes wary, their hands close to their weapons. She does not speak. Not yet. She kneels beside the fire, holds out a piece of dried meat. It is not much, but it is enough. The others hesitate, then accept. A nod is exchanged. Not a word, not a sound, but a bond, a fragile, flickering bond. For the next few days, she stays with them. They hunt together, share tools, strengthen their fire. But it is clear, this group is fading. Their movements slow, their numbers too few. When the time comes to leave, the scarred woman offers them a place, her cave, her group, her fire. They do not answer. But as she turns to walk away, 2 of them follow. This was the reality of the Neanderthals' final years. Small groups converging, trying to hold on to what little they had, hoping the next fire, the next hunt, the next moment would be enough. Some joined with Homo sapiens, some disappeared entirely, but all of them left traces in our bones, in our tools, in the quiet, persistent memory of a people who lived and breathed and mattered. Back in the cave, the fire is bright again. The newcomers sit close to it, their faces lit with a warmth they have not felt in weeks. The scarred woman watches them. Her hands work on a piece of antler, carving something small, deliberate. It is not for survival. It is not for hunting. It is just to leave behind. Tonight, as you lie here, feel the fire in your mind, the glow, the warmth, the small, fragile hope that even in the coldest of times, life continues. And as you close your eyes, remember this: the Neanderthals may be gone, but their breath, their fire, their light still flickers within us. And now, you rest. Asterisk. The wind has changed. It howls now, not like breath, but like memory being pulled across the land. The ice is no longer waiting. It is arriving, a slow, crushing tide of cold and silence. Snow covers the valleys. Frost chokes the rivers. The sky becomes a flat wall of white that never clears, never smiles. The world is closing in. In a cave far to the north, A group huddles, not many, now, maybe 6, maybe fewer. The fire still burns, but smaller. The meat stretches longer, the hunts take more time, and yield less. The children, if there are any, no longer laugh. Their eyes are quiet, their bones too visible. But they still gather, still press close at night, still wait for the warmth that comes only from being near each other. This was the end for most Neanderthals. Not a war, not a slaughter, not a loud disappearance, but a quiet fading, like the last coals in a fire left too long untended. They did not go extinct in one place. They vanished slowly from the edges of the world, pushed by cold, starvation, change, pushed by the future. In one valley, deep beneath the snow, a cave lies buried. No footsteps mark the entrance. No smoke curls from its mouth, but inside, still, silent, forgotten bones remain. Tools, scraps of fur, a child's toy, carved from antler, a piece of flint, worn smooth by touch, all of it left untouched for 40,000 years. Until one day, someone finds it. You are standing beside the bones now, not as a Neanderthal, but as someone centuries later. A scientist, a dreamer, a wanderer. You dust away the soil, lift a piece of broken tool, turn it over in your palm, and feel it, the weight of time, the echo of breath, of fire, of fingers that once shaped this stone with purpose. They were not strangers, they were not myths, they were us. Modern genetics tells us that most people alive today carry fragments of Neanderthal DNA. In their skin, in their immune systems, in the way they adapt to cold and survive hardship. We carry them still, in our bodies, in our dreams, in our fire. Somewhere near the cave, the scarred woman, older now, sits alone. Her hands are still strong, but slower. She watches the flames dance, and she hums that same low tune. No words, just breath, just rhythm. A lullaby for a world that is ending. Outside, the snow begins again. It falls on the paths they once walked, on the stones they once carved, on the places they made warm with fire and memory. And the wind carries their names, not as language, but as feeling, as a hush that settles deep in your chest and says, they were here, they lived, they mattered. Tonight in your bed, you feel the quiet of that cave, the hum of the fire, the soft, final breaths of a people who came before. Their story is not one of failure, it is one of endurance, of beauty in the harshest places, of strength in silence, of humanity before history. Let the cold pass over you. Let the snow blanket your thoughts. Let the flicker of their fire guide you gently into sleep. You are not alone. You never were. They walk beside you still, and now you rest. The stars above are clearer now. The snowstorm has passed. The cave mouth is still and silent, a dark eye in a sleeping mountain dot. But below the stars, beneath the ice, and beyond the edge of history, something remains. Not fire, not breath, but memory. It lingers in the dust, in the shape of a tool, left untouched beside the bones of its maker. In the faint red stain of ochre, brushed across a burial site by hands that never wrote a word, but still spoke with gesture, with ritual, with love. Modern humans often picture Neanderthals as crude, brutal, and silent. But this is wrong. They were careful makers. They buried their dead. They painted. They shared. And maybe, just maybe, they told stories too, around a fire, in a cave, to a child curled beside them in the flickering dark, just like you now. Archaeologists once uncovered a circle of stones deep inside a French cave, stacked deliberately, arranged carefully. Beneath them, charred bone fragments, not from prey, but from Neanderthals themselves. Was it ritual? Remembrance? A burial aflame? We do not know. But the gesture, the care, it speaks that it tells us. We remembered our own, and that is something sacred. There is something beautiful about being remembered after you are gone. Neanderthals did not leave behind great cities, or towering cathedrals, or written epics, but they left behind each other. A mother who laid her child to rest beneath a covering of flowers. A wounded elder, nursed for years by those who loved him. And you can feel them still. You turn your head gently on the pillow. Your breathing slows, and in your mind, a picture forms. A cave lit with fire, a stone wall marked with soot and ochre. A family gathered around the coals, wrapped in hides, their faces soft in the glow. No words, no language, but silence filled with connection. The same kind you feel when someone sits beside you without speaking, but their presence is enough. That was the Neanderthals' language. Presence, touch, memory, fire somewhere in your bones. You carry them, literally. Scientists have found traces of Neanderthal DNA in our skin, our hair, our immune systems, even in our dreams. They live on, not as ghosts, but as roots. The first people. Our distant kin, our flickering shadow at the edge of history. And tonight, as you rest, your breath joining the rhythm of night, they are not forgotten, because you remember. You close your eyes, and they are there, not in the cold, not in the dark, but in the warmth of the fire you imagine, the hands you reach for in dreams, the soft, humming quiet of people who simply wanted to live. The brutal life was also beautiful, because they endured, because they loved, because they looked at the stars and did not run, but stayed, and carved their stories into stone with fire. You are wrapped now, not in fur, but in the hush of night, safe, still, remembered, and as you drift, you join a story 40,000 years in the making. A story of breath, of blood, of silence and snow and fire. A story that is still being told each time someone remembers the first people. Asterisk, the world has turned many times since the last Neanderthal drew breath. The ice has melted. The forests have shifted. Mountains have risen. And rivers have carved paths through the bones of forgotten valleys. But beneath it all, beneath the soil, beneath the stone, their traces remain. A handprint on a cave wall. A flint blade buried in the earth. A memory carried in our blood. They have not vanished, not completely, not forever, for tens of thousands of years. Their story slept, undisturbed, unnoticed, until one day, a scientist knelt beside a fragment of bone, lifted it carefully from the dirt, and whispered, "Who were you?" The first Neanderthal fossils were discovered in the Neander Valley of Germany. A skull, thick-browed, heavy-jawed, different. It was 1856, and the world was not ready to accept what it meant. The idea that humans were not alone, that another kind of person had once walked these lands, felt impossible. But the bones did not lie. They had been real, alive, a people like us, and yet not us. A story untold. For years, their image was distorted. Scientists called them brutish, savage, barely more than beasts. But as time passed, the bones told a different tale. One of resilience, of intelligence, of connection. The tools they shaped, the fires they tended, the art they left behind on cave walls, and the colors of ochre and ashdot. They were not monsters, they were people, and in some small way, they still are. You turn now, gently beneath your blankets. Your breathing slows, your mind drifts, and you feel it, the presence of something ancient. Not haunting, but comforting. A reminder that you are not the first to walk this world, to feel the cold, to light a fire, to dream. Asterisk, the Neanderthals may be gone, but they are not forgotten. Their tools shaped ours, their struggles taught us. Their DNA lingers in our veins, like a whisper of who we once were. In your blood, you carry their endurance, their quiet strength, their love for fire, for shelter, for each other. They are not lost. They are a part of you. Asterisk has turned, and the stars have shifted. The caves are silent now, the fire's long cold, but their story continues. Each time a hand shapes stone, each time a fire sparks in the dark, each time a person remembers the beauty of survival. So tonight, as you close your eyes, know this: you are not alone. You carry the breath of a people who faced the ice and did not run, who lit the dark and did not falter. Their story is yours, and now, you rest. Asterisk, the world is different now. The caves are buried. The herds are gone. The sky glows, not with stars, but with electric light. And yet, the fire still burns. Not in stone hearths, not with kindling and flint, but in kitchens, in hearts, in minds that wonder where they came from and who came before. The Neanderthals are not here to tell their story, but we can listen if we are. Still, we can trace the marks they left in the red ochre staining cave walls, in the rhythm of footsteps pressed into fossilized mud, in the healing of an old man's fractured bone that tells us someone stayed, someone cared, they lived, they loved, they endured, and that fire, their fire, did not die. In the quiet of night, you sit by your own fire, maybe not real, maybe imagined, but still glowing in the cave of your thoughts. It flickers softly, casting shadows that stretch backward across time, and in that glow, you see them again. The scarred woman, the elder by the coals, the child tracing shapes on the wall. Their names are gone, but their presence remains. Science has shown that Neanderthal DNA still lives in modern humans. It affects how we feel pain, how we sleep, even how we resist illness. You carry them not in memory, but in molecules, in muscle, in breath, and sometimes in dreams. Perhaps that is why we are drawn to the past, why we walk into caves with flashlights and silence, why we pause before a handprint made 40,000 years ago. It is not curiosity, it is recognition. You were here, we whisper, and I am here too. And the fire answers. Maybe the world is loud now, fast, full of lights and noise and time that never slows. But the rhythm of the fire, the one Neanderthals knew, is still with you. The hum of night, the quiet beat of breath, the stillness before sleep. You do not need a cave to remember who you are. You only need a moment, a breath, a pause. So tonight, as your thoughts settle, as your body softens, as the weight of the day drifts away, the fire warm you. Let the memory hold you. You are part of something ancient, something quiet, something kind. The brutal life of the Neanderthals was also a beautiful one. They lived with care, with community, with courage. They faced the dark and lit it anyway. And though they are gone, their story lives on in you. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, feel the warmth, the flicker, the echo of all who came before. Their story ends in silence. Yours continues in peace. And now, you rest.